Let's talk a little Oregon Ducks recruiting. Just 2 days ago, Jared Curtis picks Georgia over Oregon. And I will say we're in a bit of a cold streak here for Oregon. Max, you actually wrote a story on this on the front of scoopduck.com right now. So the question is, it's in the headline of your article, when will this skid end for the Ducks?
I think to answer that question, you have to keep in perspective where we are in the recruiting calendar. The easiest answer that I would probably give to you is that it would maybe be in the June, July timeframe, either during or after official visit season. We saw Oregon make a pretty good run last year in June. And then I think you also have to look a bit further down the line in November, December, around the early signing period, when Oregon really likes to make their push for some of these top targets on their board. Some guys come out for official visits during the season, although the popular strategy right now is to take them during the summer. But Oregon loves to get guys on campus for games at Autzen Stadium. They did that for the spring game, and that environment really resonates with recruits. So I think that it's a little bit of a two-part answer. June, July after OVs, a lot of these guys want to come off the board before their senior season start, Josh. But I think also you have to look down the line for some of those cream of the crop guys like a Naeem Offord, like they had last year, that want to kind of play it out a little bit more and maybe go until that final whistle.
Yeah. And, reading your message board, there's definitely a tone from the fans that Oregon's in some sort of skid for recruiting. But from my perspective, it's almost laughable seeing it from a national perspective, understanding the way Dan Lanning has recruited and will recruit into the future, just knowing that some of these top prospects, they don't come off the board when fans want them to. No, these 5 stars, they set their decision date. It's going to happen on their own time. No matter if Oregon's in a quote unquote hot streak or cold streak, they're going to wait. And Oregon fans, I mean, you've been through this enough, right? Like, we've seen what happens. I guarantee the tone on the message boards now will do a complete 180 by November, December. Oregon fans are going to love this class. I mean, I can't wait to see what Lanning does. And of course, yeah, they miss on some guys, but not every team in the country. There's only a select few like Oregon that swing at every big time recruit and have their name in every big time recruit. So they're only, you only sign 25, 30 guys. They're not going to sign them all. So we're going to move forward with this. And I just know that Oregon fans, you're going to enjoy the class when it's all said and done. So go crazy now, be upset, do whatever you want. It's a message board. All right. New prediction on a 5-star quarterback, Steve Wiltfong, Justin Hopkins. They join forces in this one. But first, we got to talk about a new offer at the quarterback position. 2 days ago, Jared Curtis off the board. Oregon extends a new offer today at the quarterback position. Tell us about it.
Yeah, this was an intriguing storyline to kind of wake up to, Josh, in the early morning hours on Wednesday. Looks like Oregon offensive coordinator Will Stein is on the road. We saw that he was in Baltimore to see Emmanuel Iheanacho, the 5-star plus offensive tackle that Oregon's going after. Then he made the trip back to the Midwest and was in Cincinnati to offer 4-star quarterback Matt Ponatoski. Hopefully I'm saying that right, out of Archbishop Moeller in Ohio. And this was one of those offers that kind of raises your eyebrows a little bit because you just had the predictions coming in for Ryder Lyons, like you mentioned. But I think he's a little bit down the line, obviously, with the mission trip aspect at play in his recruitment. So I don't think Oregon wants to walk away completely empty-handed at quarterback in 2026. They want to have a guy that they can bring in and add to the roster. And this offer on Wednesday is a really, really gifted quarterback and Ponatoski, who's also a really gifted baseball player, formerly committed to Missouri, but he is just outside the top 100 in the on 300, 101 actually, top 10 quarterback in the rankings, one of the top uncommitted guys on the board. But the stats speak for themselves. The body of work speaks for itself. 4,200 passing yards as a junior, 58 touchdowns against just 3 interceptions. Mr. Ohio, Gatorade Player of the Year in Ohio. And you have to think that he was also in the running with Tavian St. Clair, who the Buckeyes signed last year. So this dude is right there in terms of top talent. And if you're in that territory, I think you're in good shape if you're Oregon.
All right, so we'll talk about the prediction now. Moments after, within an hour after Jared Curtis commits to Georgia, Hopkins and Steve, and you know this is big because Hopkins didn't even wait till Tuesday. He put it in on Monday that they were putting in a prediction for Rider Lions, which was a shocker because Rider Lions from Folsom, California was leaning, or we thought was leaning towards USC, but both Steve and Justin dropped these predictions. How does this play with the new offer?
I don't think they're necessarily related, I would say, Josh, because of the mission trip that we obviously mentioned. I think that kind of makes Lions a little bit more of a 2027 recruit. But I think that these two, they're playing with each other in some positive momentum for Oregon. We have to obviously see if the new offer takes a visit. Ponatoski. I really got to make sure I'm saying that right. I'm sure I'll be saying it a whole bunch over the next week or so. But if he comes out for a visit in Eugene, I think that'll be something that certainly raises a few eyebrows. I would think that the Ducks could at least get him on campus. That, of course, depends on what his decision timeline looks like. But with Lions, I had my RPM pick on USC as well. But that was back in the fall before the Trojans flipped Jonas Williams from Oregon. I think it's probably looking good for Oregon. I know that Steve reported that BYU was a school that was in the mix heavily there. BYU is another school that I've heard, as well as Ole Miss in the Rider Lions recruitment. He's been on campus at USC. He's been on campus at Oregon this spring. And he is certainly one of those guys that is kind of making his decisions on his own timeline. Was also playing some basketball for the Bulldogs this winter. So he can do it all. And Lions is a terrific talent. So we haven't seen Oregon lacking elite quarterback talent in the past couple of seasons. And if they're going to continue recruiting these guys, I don't think they're going to in the future.
All right. Now we got to talk Jackson Cantwell, the number one player in America, comes off the board in less than a week, next Tuesday. Offensive tackle Jackson Cantwell will announce his decision. Max, he has a top 6 heading into decision day, but where do you put Oregon amongst those 6?
Yeah, for Cantwell, I think that they're right there. I'd put them no worse than 3rd because it seems like coming off of that Oregon official visit for the spring game, Josh, he's kind of narrowed it down a little bit. You got Oregon, Georgia, and Miami. Ohio State's also in there, but I don't think they've been in the mix quite as long for Cantwell. So I think this is probably going to come down to a Georgia-Oregon decision. We know, of course, the Bulldogs and Kirby Smart just added Jared Curtis earlier this week. They haven't talked about being a package deal, but you got 2 5-stars that are coming off the board at around the same time, both pursued heavily by both Oregon and Georgia. So I know that he has a tremendous relationship with Dan Lanning, maybe one of the best relationships out of any coach in his recruitment. He's spoken super highly of him in interviews I've done. You got the Missouri angle with Lanning and Cantwell both being from Missouri. Alik Terry is a guy that he goes way back with. But as it stands right now, I think that I'm probably giving Georgia the edge here. He talked to me about how when he camped at Georgia, kind of trying to see how good of a player he is, how he stacks up. He just kind of felt a little something different with the Bulldogs and how they did things out there in Athens. So I'm not ready to call it just yet, but I think as it stands right now, I'd probably give the slight edge to Georgia, but maybe Oregon lays in the weeds a little bit. Not many people are talking about them, and they make a splash. We've certainly seen it before.
All right, Max, let's talk with Oregon fans in the YouTube comments because the ones on the message board, they're a little shook right now when it comes to recruiting. But YouTube commenters, how are you feeling? Are you concerned if you're an Oregon fan with recruiting right now? Let us know. Comment section below.